This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When Sim pass the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock, who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Knick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place you tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.
Knicks family, what's poppin'? It's your boy. Ladies and gentlemen, the New York Knicks take on the Toronto Raptors in about 2 hours. This has been a tough matchup for the Knicks all season long. They've played them twice so far this season. Their record is 1-1. We're going to break that entire thing down, ladies and gentlemen. I do want to apologize to you. I was supposed to come on at 12 p.m. I had some technical difficulties, so I couldn't make it on until now. But I'm here, and I appreciate you showing up for me. But I want to talk about Julius Randle. That's how I want to start the show, ladies and gentlemen. Now, you all know I've been a supporter of Julius Randle, especially when other people were not supporting Julius Randle and they were ready to move on from him, trade him, or do whatever, just get him out of town. I always thought Julius Randle had potential to be, a really good basketball player. Am I saying a superstar? No, not saying that, but I always thought he had potential to be a big piece of the puzzle. You know what I mean? He had to, still has to, figure out the mental part of the game. But he's doing a good job this season. Jalen Brunson is helping a lot, ladies and gentlemen. And in recent days, Julius Randle's been in the news for his good play and for his accomplishments as a New York Knick. He's been a Knick. This is his 4th season as a New York Knick, ladies and gentlemen. And, if you know the history of the Knicks, a lot of guys come and go. You don't get that many guys who are around for, a long time. So you get to year 4 with the Knicks, on this team, that's kind of an accomplishment in and of itself when you get to year 4. When you look at the all-time list, you see 7 seasons, 8 seasons. Will Julius Randle be around that long? I don't know. If he is around that long, he's going to have a chance to be considered an all-time Knick if he's around for that long and he continues to play at the level that he's playing. Anyway, let's take a look at what Randle's done over the last 20 games. And if you saw my 5 takeaways, you probably saw this graphic. But over the last 20 games, ladies and gentlemen, and the Knicks are 14-6 over the last 20 games. 14-6 over the last 20 games. That is one of the top win percentages in the league. I have a graphic to show you when we get to that point. But Julius Randle, over the last 20 games, ladies and gentlemen, 28.6 points per game. That's 10th in the NBA. 13 rebounds a game. That's 2nd in the NBA. 4.2 assists. He's shooting 45.9% from the field. He's shooting 35.9% from the three-point line. And he's only averaging 2.6 turnovers per game over these last 20 games. Now, for the season, Julius Randle's about 24 points a game, 10 rebounds, and 4.9 assists or something like that. Maybe, similar numbers, a little bit less. This is what he's doing in the last 20 games. Ladies and gentlemen, that right there is one of your, that's a top 15 to 20 player in the league with those type of numbers. Not to mention, over the last 20 games, the Knicks have like the 2nd or 3rd best defense in the league over the last 20 games. And they have a top 5 offense in the league over the last 20 games. It's hard to deny. It really is. It's pretty hard to deny when you got a guy playing this type of basketball. When you look at some of his accomplishments at the moment as a New York Knick accomplishments, Julius Randle, ladies and gentlemen, has just surpassed Bernard King. And you guys know it. You heard it in the last telecast. He just surpassed Bernard King on the top 25 to be, number 25 on the all-time scoring list. He's 20th on the Knicks all-time rebounding list, 2,524 rebounds. He's 8th on the Knicks all-time three-pointers made list, 461 three-pointers made. He's going to have a chance to move up on each and every one of these lists before the end of the season. Julius Randle averages 24 points per game. If he continues to average 24 points per game for the remainder of the season, he can surpass Latrell Sprewell for number 20 on the all-time scoring list in just 4 seasons. He'll move up. I'm not exactly sure to what number, but he'll move up on the rebounding list. And he'll do so on the three-pointers made list if he continues to shoot the ball the way he's shooting. Not bad accomplishments for Julius Randle. So my question to you, ladies and gentlemen, is Julius Randle, it seems pretty clear, but will Julius Randle be considered an all-time New York Knick? He'll have to stay here long enough to do so, right? But the way things look, the way that it seems Leon Rose and Tom Thibodeau and the front office feel about Julius Randle, he'll probably be here. He'll probably be here. Will he be considered one of the all-time Knicks? I seen a tweet not too long ago, and this was closer towards the beginning of the season. I think maybe Julius Randle had surpassed the three-pointers made, a list, surpassed someone for three-pointers made. And someone said Julius Randle, could possibly surpass Carmelo Anthony on, as one of the all-time Knicks, and somebody called that person crazy. But when you start to look at these accomplishments and where Julius Randle is and where Carmelo is, it's not crazy if Julius Randle is here long enough. Right? It's not crazy if he's here long enough. You know what I mean? What can you say? Julius Randle's been here for 4 seasons. The Knicks have made the playoff once. They've made the playoffs once. If they make the playoffs this season, and it seems like it's possible that they could make the playoffs this season, if they make the playoffs this season, that'll be twice in the 4 years that Julius Randle's been here that the Knicks have made the playoffs. If he makes the All-Star team, that'll be twice in the 4 years that Julius Randle's been here that he's made the All-Star team. Obviously, this season is not complete, so there's still a lot of work to go for him to, for the Knicks to make the playoffs and for him to continue to play as well as he is, and we'll see if he makes the All-Star team. Even if he doesn't make the All-Star team, though, ladies and gentlemen, which I think he and Jalen, one of those two guys are going to make it. If he doesn't make the All-Star team, you cannot deny that he's played at an All-Star caliber level this season and maybe even beyond. But, the last 20 games, Julius Randle's been one of the top players in the league. There's no doubt about it. There's no doubt about it at all. And I think people are, listen, he's been serenaded with MVP chants this season. We didn't know. coming into the season, when I asked questions to people about Julius Randle and whether or not he can win the crowd back, win the fans back, most people did not think that he could. But he seems to have won over a good portion of the New York Knicks crowd, the fans, simply by playing hard and playing well, and for the most part, keeping his attitude in check. He's definitely not having an attitude towards the fans. He still has an attitude towards the referees. You see him grimace on the court and all of that kind of stuff. But he's endeared himself to a larger portion of the fan base. I think a couple of weeks ago, after a win, Julius Randle was asked a question about, the best part of either the win or playing in New York, and he said it's the fans. He loves playing in front of the fans, and that was another step towards endearing himself back to the fans. And the fans cheered. So Julius Randle, ladies and gentlemen, he's having a great season so far. He's moving up the list on New York Knicks all-time accomplishments. And if he's here long enough, he'll continue to surpass, some of your favorite players. Some of your favorite players on the Knicks all-time list. He had 42 and 15 yesterday. I think that was the first player to do it since Patrick Ewing. So even if you don't like Julius Randle, you at least got to give him his props, ladies and gentlemen. You got to give it to him because he's playing really, really good basketball, and he's doing some things that, he's doing some things that people probably want R.J. Barrett to do. And R.J. Barrett's, he's going to have his time. No doubt about it. He's going to have his time. Came in as a younger guy, figuring some things out. He'll get his chance to be on these lists. And maybe Julius Randle, R.J. Barrett, and Jalen Brunson can accomplish some things together on these lists. So good numbers for Julius Randle. And to tell you the truth, ladies and gentlemen, he doesn't do it without Jalen Brunson. He doesn't do it without Jalen Brunson. You know what I mean? Fly God said R.J. Barrett can't do it when Julius Randle's in the way. See, I disagree. I mean, Jalen Brunson is doing it with Julius Randle there. Jalen Brunson is putting up great numbers this season. He's averaging 22 points per game. Over these last 20, and I'm going to bring this over here, over these last 20, Jalen Brunson, 24.1 points per game, 3.9 rebounds, 6.6 assists per game. Shooting 46.4% from the field, 46.3% from the three-point line, 83.7% from the free throw line. This is over the last 20 games. And for the season, his numbers are not far off, 22 points per game. If Jalen Brunson can do it, why R.J. Barrett can't do it? So I don't see it. It's hard for me to see it as Julius Randle is in his way. If R.J. Barrett is good enough, he'll get the job done. He'll do what he has to do. R.J. Barrett, at the beginning of the season, ladies and gentlemen, or Fly God, R.J. Barrett was taking more shot attempts than Julius Randle. He just wasn't efficient. I can't see how Julius Randle was in the way when R.J. Barrett gets the same or more shot attempts. He has the ball in his hands. He has the ability to create. He has the ability to score. He's not efficient right now. I don't see how you blame that on Julius Randle. I don't know if you're blaming it on Julius Randle, but I don't see how, it's because Julius Randle was there that R.J. Barrett can't get it done. R.J. Barrett's got to take the responsibility, in my opinion. But Jalen Brunson, ladies and gentlemen, back to Brunson. Over the last 20 games, he's 10th in the NBA in clutch scoring, 4.9 points per game. And to be honest with you, over the course of the season, I think he's actually 6th in the NBA in clutch scoring. Jalen Brunson gets it done in the clutch, man. Some of these games, the Knicks haven't won, but he gets it done. He gets it done. And Julius Randle doesn't have the season that he's having without Jalen Brunson there to relieve some of that pressure. These two guys are doing some things. You know what I mean? And RJ Barrett is there as well. He's doing some things too. You know, he's been hurt. He's finding his way, but I think RJ Barrett will be just fine. And if the Knicks continue to play the way that they're playing, you'll be able to say the Knicks really have something to build upon. You know what I mean? So, the Knicks play the Toronto Raptors today at 3 p.m. A matchup that, this is a tough matchup for the Knicks, ladies and gentlemen. They just match up too well with the New York Knicks. You know what I mean? And it kind of starts, in my opinion, with Pascal Siakam. Because Pascal Siakam plays that power forward / center spot. But what happens is Mitchell Robinson is forced to guard Pascal Siakam. And that's not a good matchup for Mitchell Robinson. That's a tough one. Because Pascal Siakam, you know, while he's, you know, close to 7 foot, he's a guy that can take it off the dribble, can shoot it from 3, you know, has good footwork, all that kind of stuff. So that's tough for Mitchell Robinson when it comes to guarding Pascal Siakam. You know what I mean? And that's one of the matchup problems that the Knicks have with the with the Indiana Pacers. You know, even the Indiana Pacers, yeah, the Knicks have some matchup problems with them too. But with the Toronto Raptors, that's some of the matchup problems right there. So today, ladies and gentlemen, for the Toronto Raptors, you know, Fred VanVleet may be out. That's big. He's questionable for today. If Fred VanVleet doesn't play, you know, it takes their captain away from the ship. Now, it could also hurt the Knicks because it may mean that Pascal Siakam has to take over and have the ball in his hands a little bit more. You know, we all seen what Pascal Siakam did the first time the Knicks and Toronto played. He didn't duplicate it in the second game. But it doesn't mean that this man can't score against the Knicks. All right. But Fred VanVleet, he's questionable. You know, that hurts Toronto. It seems to be favorable for the Knicks if he doesn't play, but that means somebody else has the ball in their hands. You know, who will it be? If it's Pascal Siakam, that could be a problem. Otto Porter is out for the Toronto Raptors. The New York Knicks, for the most part, ladies and gentlemen, are healthy. So when we take a look at the starting lineups, the projected starting lineups, for the Knicks, you got Jalen Brunson, Quentin Grimes, RJ Barrett, Julius Randle, Mitchell Robinson. And for the Toronto Raptors, if Fred VanVleet does not play, you got Malachi Flynn, Gary Trent Jr., OG Anunoby, Scotty Barnes, and Pascal Siakam. And when you look at the problem here, especially when Fred VanVleet plays, is everyone in this lineup, just like the Knicks, everyone in the Knicks lineup, well, it's not just like the Knicks. It's not just like the Knicks. See, Mitchell Robinson is not a guy that can really score the ball on his own. He needs an assist. When you look at the Toronto Raptors, every single one of these guys, when Fred VanVleet is out there, can score the ball on their own. And then you got like OG Anunoby, Scotty Barnes, Pascal Siakam. Those guys have some length. And depending on how the Toronto Raptors choose to play the Knicks, there are times when Scotty Barnes is actually at that shooting guard spot. Lately, they've been going with Gary Trent Jr. This has been the lineup for them lately. We'll see the way that they approach the Knicks today. And when they do have a guy like Scotty Barnes at the shooting guard spot and they throw somebody else in there at the power forward spot, that's tough for the Knicks because they have a lot of length. And defensively, ladies and gentlemen, they get their hands in the passing lanes. They get a lot of deflections. And that's troublesome for the Knicks. It's troublesome. The Knicks struggle with teams that play that type of defense. The Miami Heat play that type of defense. The Miami Heat are surging right now. I don't like this matchup. I hate this matchup. I hate when the Knicks have to play the Raptors. Now, the last time the Knicks played the Raptors, they were able to amass a nice little lead. And then the Raptors came back as you expected they would. And, of course, the Knicks have been a team that's given up a lot of leads this season. We'll take a look at that. You've probably seen it on my 5 takeaways. If you haven't seen my 5 takeaways, make sure you go check that out. We talked, we talked about Julius Randle, Jalen Brunson. We talked about these double-digit leads the Knicks have blown. So make sure you go check that out. But here's the projected starting lineups, ladies and gentlemen. And really, when you look at the starting lineups, it doesn't change much when you get to the defensive matchups. I have the defensive matchups basically the same as the lineups. Jalen Brunson on Malachi Flynn, Quentin Grimes on Gary Trent Jr., R.J. Barrett on Anunoby, Randle on Scotty Barnes, and Mitchell Robinson on Pascal Siakam. And that right there, ladies and gentlemen, Mitchell Robinson and Pascal Siakam, that is the matchup that worries me. Now, with Emmanuel Quickley there, he's not going to start, but Tom Thibodeau can substitute Emmanuel Quickley for Mitchell Robinson at a certain point in the game, maybe even down the stretch, depending on how the game is going, and have Emmanuel Quickley on Gary Trent Jr., Grimes on Anunoby, and then Barrett on Barnes and Randle on Pascal Siakam. This is a game where the Knicks could go small. I don't foresee them going small with Obi, though. Right? Emmanuel Quickley's been playing good defense lately. Well, I don't want to say lately. He's always been a decent defender. Emmanuel Quickley's been playing good defense, though. He's, kind of finding himself into the offense a little bit better, not taking wild shots. I think Tom Thibodeau trusts Emmanuel Quickley. So that's a lineup you could see down the stretch, I think. If Mitchell Robinson is not having a good game, if Pascal Siakam is going off, you might see that lineup. You might see it throughout the game. Now, this could also be a game that you play some Jericho Sims in lieu of the other guy. Can't think of his name right now. Well, I'll get his name. Let me go to the bench. Isaiah Hartenstein. There you go. You might play Jericho Sims in lieu of Isaiah Hartenstein because he has the ability, I think, if you need some help on Pascal Siakam, to maybe stay in front of him when he's out on the perimeter. Think he can do a much better job than Isaiah Hartenstein. I'm going to come back over here to the defensive matchups because I want to talk about that a little bit more. I just needed to get Isaiah Hartenstein's name because I forgot it for a second. But Jericho Sims could see some time and maybe should see some time. Julius Randle and Scotty Barnes. Julius Randle should win that matchup. We just looked at the numbers from Julius Randle, and he's been playing like a dominant player. Scotty Barnes, still very young. Is going to be a good basketball player, but he's still very young. but Julius Randle should be able to dominate that matchup, in my opinion. Right? And Julius Randle doesn't have to get 42. Doesn't have to do that. He's just got to get his 28 points. 24 to 28 points. 13, 14 rebounds. Now, on the other side of the ball is where you got to worry about it, because Scotty Barnes, a young guy, live body, fresh legs. Julius Randle, he's got to guard him. He can't let him get loose from the three-point line. Randle's been playing decent defense, but he can't let him get loose. All right, he's got to defend Scotty Barnes. Don't let him get hot. RJ Barrett, OG Anunoby, that's a tough matchup for RJ every time they step on the court together. All right, you're looking at, very, players who are very similar to one another. OG, probably a better defender. Not probably, is a better defender than RJ Barrett. And you guys already know OG is a guy that I'd like the Knicks to get. I think he's going to cost a lot. I don't know how much the Knicks really want to put out there for him, but I would love to see him in a New York Knicks uniform. A lot of people are, a lot of teams want OG Anunoby. But that's a matchup. That's a good matchup. That's a fun matchup. RJ Barrett and OG. Hopefully RJ is, on his game tonight and ready to play some defense. The good thing about OG is, RJ's not going to have to chase him all over the place. He's kind of a stationary guy. He'll move around a little bit, but there's going to be a lot of matching up him and RJ. Obviously, there'll be switches and things like that, but that's a good matchup to watch. Quentin Grimes and Gary Trent Jr., he's a guy that, Quentin Grimes could switch on to OG. He could switch on to Scotty Barnes, too. And I think whoever is hot out of those wing players, you might see Quentin Grimes take that guy. If OG gets hot, you might see Barrett go on to Gary Trent Jr. and Quentin Grimes go on to OG Anunoby. I don't know if Scotty Barnes gets hot, you might see RJ go to Gary Trent Jr. and Randle go to OG and Quentin Grimes go on Scotty Barnes. So, Quentin Grimes, although he's smaller than OG, shorter than OG and Scotty Barnes, he can get up underneath him. He's got good footwork, plays aggressive defense. So you can see Quentin Grimes move around the board depending on who's hot, who's not. Jalen Brunson, for the most part, he's going to be on Malachi Flynn or Fred VanVleet, depending on who's playing in the game. So those are what my defensive matchups are for the night, for today, actually, not tonight, for the day. Let's go on over to the bench. Now, the Knicks bench, ladies and gentlemen, it hasn't been good, especially for the last 20 games. We've talked a lot about the Knicks bench. Hasn't been good. They've struggled, especially when RJ Barrett was out. And Emmanuel Quickley had to go to Emmanuel Quickley had to jump into that starting lineup. But the Toronto bench isn't that good. So that kind of helps the Knicks out in this situation. When you look at the Knicks bench, Emmanuel Quickley, Miles McBride, Obi Toppin, Isaiah Hartenstein. You look at the Raptors bench, Koloko, Chris Boucher, Precious Achiuwa. But these guys aren't getting major minutes either, just like the Knicks bench isn't getting major minutes. The Knicks bench versus each other, right? The Raptors versus the Knicks. This is not for the season. This is the Raptors versus the Knicks right here that you see on your screen. The Knicks bench is getting 10.9 minutes per game, averaging 12 points, 12 rebounds, shooting 40% from the field and 33.3% from the three-point line. The Raptors bench, 11 minutes per game, 13.5 points, 9.5 rebounds, 42% from the field and 25% from the three-point line. They're 100% from the free throw line because they made one free throw. They shot one and made one. So the bench, now that Emmanuel Quickley is on the bench, though, can Emmanuel Quickley give the Knicks a boost? Can he give the Knicks a boost over the Raptors? And, you know, maybe this is an area now that is going to help the Knicks here. Now, I think the first matchup R.J. Barrett might have played, I believe. I'd have to go back and look, but I think he played in the first matchup. You know, and this is when the Raptors ended the Knicks winning streak, ended the Knicks 8-game winning streak. I don't believe R.J. Barrett played in the second matchup. I'm going to look at it right now so I make sure that I have the right information for you. I don't want to tell you any lies. Like that guy, Big Bubba, he tells lies a lot. And I don't want to tell you, I don't want to be like Big Bubba. I'm trying to be better than that. You know what I'm saying? Trying to be better than that. Let's see. In the first game, the Knicks lost 113-106. And R.J. Barrett did play. He had 30 points in that first game, ladies and gentlemen. 30 points in that first game. Emmanuel Quickley had 20 off the bench. You didn't get much production from anyone else. Miles McBride had 5. Isaiah Hartenstein had 2. Derrick Rose had 2. In the second game, if I can get that over there quick enough, the Knicks lost 112-108. And right, R.J. Barrett did not play in that game. Emmanuel Quickley was inserted into the lineup. And the Knicks bench, Miles McBride, 9 points. Isaiah Hartenstein, 2. Evan Fournier, 4. All right, so, you know, a little. That's the production. That's the bench production. That's the bench production, ladies and gentlemen. You know, Emmanuel Quickley being on the bench definitely gives the Knicks a boost. Let's say that. Definitely gives the Knicks a boost. Now, the Knicks, if they get a lead, the Knicks had a 17-point lead the last time they played the Toronto Raptors. They ended up winning the game by 4 points. It's been the story of the Knicks giving up leads. It's been one of their stories, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to talk about that in just a minute. Before we get there, I'd like to compare the two teams versus one another. And then we'll talk about, we'll take a look at these leads that the Knicks have blown. The Knicks have had 16 double-digit leads over the last 20 games. It's actually pretty good, to tell you the truth. 16 double-digit leads. But when you look at, ladies and gentlemen, the matchup versus each other, now they are, they're currently 1-1 versus each other. All right. The Raptors won the first game. The Knicks won the second game. Numbers are pretty similar. The Knicks averaging just 109 points per game versus the Raptors. The Raptors averaging 110.5. 44.5 rebounds for the Knicks, 42 for the Raptors, 22 assists for the Knicks, 19.5 for the Raptors. The Knicks shooting 50.9% from the field, the Raptors 43.5. The Knicks shooting 42.9% from three versus the Raptors 30.2. The Knicks not hitting their free throws, 65.9% from the free throw line for the Knicks, 84.2 for the Toronto Raptors. This is the season matchup, ladies and gentlemen. And I'd like to welcome to the show Mr. Big Bubba himself. You know what I mean? Isaiah, what's popping with you, my man? How you feeling today? I can't hear you, my bro. I can't hear you.
Hear me?
There you go. Try that again.
You can hear me? Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. There you go.
Oh, hey, it's never, we always got to do a little mic check before we get on.
Yeah, I know. Always got to do, something with you. Like right now, you're not even. You're falling off the screen.
I'm
and
right
all of that. But go ahead.
I'm right here. We got the same head.
You kind of falling off the screen, but go ahead.
I'm gonna scoot up a little bit.
No, it's not scooting up. You got to go over.
Oh, wait, this way?
No, the other way.
This way.
Yeah,
This
look
way.
at the screen. The screen will tell you.
I'm looking at him. I'm coming in the middle.
Go ahead, man. Talk to me about the game.
Oh man, Sim, really. Listen, man, we need to, like you said before, I watched the video, the 5 reasons. I watch your videos even when I'm not on. Got to support.
All right. I'm with that. I need the support.
Yeah, hey man, no. Look, no, we got to keep the cushion, man, because I think that was important when we won that 8-game winning streak. Is that we established a little cushion, but it even wasn't enough because when we went on a 5-game losing streak, we went all the way to the 8th seed. So,
but I'll say this. Where it was a cushion is even when we went on a 5-game losing streak, we didn't fall below 500.
That's important too,
right? We didn't fall below 500, so we stayed 500. I think maybe we fell to 500. I don't know. Or maybe we fell to 500.
Yeah, I think we were 500 at one point.
Yeah, because we went 5 games above 500. I think we fell to 500, and then now, of course, we're back above 500, 6 games above 500.
Yeah.
So that cushion definitely helped because we were able to withstand that 5-game losing streak, and hopefully we don't ever see that.
Yeah, I hope we don't do that again. I really don't. We don't do that again. But look, man, we're 1-1 against the Raptors this season.
1-1, tough matchup, man. 1-1.
This our last one, or we got one more?
No, we got one more. As a matter of fact, we got another one in this same stretch. We have another one.
All right, so again, you just broke down the matches and everything, and I think this really is an important game. Let's go 7 games. Let's get to the 20. We're at 25 wins. Let's get to 26. I would love to get to 37 wins before the All-Star break. I would love to do that to get to around 30, 32 or whatever. How many
I think
left?
that's definitely possible. The Knicks will be at. I think they'll definitely be at 30-something wins before the All-Star break.
Yeah,
they should be. I mean, the Knicks will have a chance. Right now, they play the Raptors, then the Washington Wizards again, then the Raptors. They play somebody else in there, Atlanta. If they're going to have a chance to possibly get to 29 wins if they can pull them all out. I don't know if they're going to pull them all out and they're going to, win all 4 and be on another 7-game win streak. I don't know because they played the Raptors in there twice. The Wizards played us tough, so Atlanta, they've lost to us twice. They're going to want to get they're going to be working hard to try to get a win. So it's not going to be easy, but they play some winnable games. Over the
NBA,
next 4.
it's never is. It's winnable games.
Yeah, it's the stretch after that that's really kind of scary, but not scary, but tougher. Yeah, let's say that.
But to me, you got to get these games, and when you got those tough stretches going up, you got to be positive in these matches. You got to go 3-1 or 3-2. You got to go. To me, you got to go above 500 when you go in these wins in stresses. We match up pretty well with the Milwaukee Bucks. Spicy P. He's probably going to look to get a game back.
Mm-hmm.
He had 50 on us. Then we kind of held him to reasonable points the last game, so he's probably looking for that. And then, man, Fred VanVleet.
He's questionable today. He's questionable. We'll see if he even plays. He's questionable.
I hope so because I feel like we offered him a contract and we said no, and he's been pissed off at us ever since because he plays us pretty well. So those are the things. But again, we have Brunson just playing at a great, amazing level right now. Best stretch of basketball of his life. Julius Randle, I remember me and you talked about it on the air, off the air. We thought he was going to have a bounce back season this season. And, we look to be correct.
He's playing the best basketball of his life.
Yeah, he really, really is. This is better than his stretch back in 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So,
he's playing really, really good basketball right now.
Yeah, so we're clicking on all cylinders, man. I think RJ's going to get back to form. I know he's a little rusty with it.
Well, we ain't clicking on all cylinders if RJ ain't back to form yet. So we're clicking on 2 cylinders. We need the 3rd one. And then the bench is the 4th cylinder. So right now we're rocking on 2.5 cylinders.
2.5 cylinders. That's fine.
2.5 cylinders. And then the 4th cylinder is the bench. That one's a little bit choppy.
But you know what, though, Sim? I think what the Knicks are doing, and this is my personal opinion, I think the Knicks are trying to hold off until the trade deadline. Well, I think they're going to trade a couple pieces. I do think heavily that we might get Alex Caruso. I think I can see us really getting Alex Caruso.
I love his defense. I like Alex Caruso. I do. I like him. He's one of those guys that's a thorn in your side, and he could play some tough defense. And he wouldn't worry about coming off the bench. You know what I mean?
No.
And if you could pick up Alex Caruso, you don't have to worry about him going against Julius Randle. you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think there's I truly believe there's going to be a trade revolving around Alex Caruso and Derrick Rose. I think that's going to happen.
Okay.
I do, and with that too, I think we're going to get one more piece. Maybe a Jay Crowder, maybe somebody maybe a Carmelo Anthony. Listen, I'm gonna say this, Sim. If we get Alex Caruso, I wouldn't be opposed to getting Carmelo Anthony because I think he can provide us 10 points. I think he could give us 10 points off the bench.
My only thing is this. All right, so if you're bringing Alex Caruso, you're assuming that Miles McBride goes to the bench. Well, becomes situational, I guess. If you bring
Sim, in my head, I have Cam and D Rose leaving.
Right, but neither one of those guys are playing, so somebody's got to come out the lineup.
Oh yeah.
If you're talking about bringing in Melo, somebody's got to come out the lineup. Right?
I'll probably give up Deuce because I think Alex Caruso brings more shooting.
I'm not saying giving him up. I'm saying that
but him not playing.
He becomes situational, possibly. Now if you have both of them out there, that gives you a heck of a some nice defense between Emmanuel Quickley, Deuce, and Alex Caruso.
Man, I think that'd be
kind of
crazy.
A 3-guard lineup. But then you're small, and then you still got Obi and Isaiah Hartenstein. If you're talking about bringing in, the only way for me that I'm bringing in Melo is if the Knicks traded Obi for another wing player. So if you brought in Alex Caruso, Deuce maybe ended up on situational, and then you brought in another wing player, a 3-man, and then Melo was there to play the 4. But you got to bring in another defensive wing man, right? Because Melo's not going to play that much defense. You know what I mean?
Not much.
So the thing that here's the thing that I don't want the Knicks to do. I don't want them. I'm not looking at them as a championship team right now. So I don't want them to sell out as a championship team. I want them to stay young and continue to bring in, if they're going to bring in guys for the bench, trying to bring in guys that are still within 22 to 25 years old. That's what I would prefer. That can grow with the team, And, now I'm not opposed to them bringing in another vet, because I think you need veteran leadership. It's imperative to me that you have veteran leadership, but I don't want to sell out with, bring in a bunch of 30-year-olds on the bench. You can bring in one, since you're getting rid of, if you're moving Derrick Rose and Evan Fournier, you can bring in one for that leadership, but you got to bring in another young guy.
I agree with you.
You know what I'm saying? You got to bring one in.
I'm not fighting with you, brother. I'm with you.
Yeah, I'll tell you right now. You know what? Alex Burks would have worked good with this bench.
I think he would have been great.
He would have been great with this bench with the way the team is right now. They had to move on from him so that they could do whatever they did last year, but he would have looked good with this team.
I think so too. I think he really would have done great. But hey, things happen. But like I said before, man, I think if you get a guy maybe like a Jay Crowder or Alex Caruso, I think you can fill the void of Alec Burks.
Yeah.
Let
me get you a phone call real quick.
Shout out to those Giants, by the way, too, man. Shout out to those Giants.
I accidentally hung up on the guy.
That's all right. You do it to me all the time.
He'll call back. I accidentally hung up on him.
It's all right, man. It was probably savvy. It don't matter.
It wasn't savvy. It wasn't savvy, but well, the Knicks play the Raptors tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Again, last game they had a 17-point lead. They only ended up winning by a couple of points. It's going to be a scrappy battle tonight.
Of course.
We're going to talk about those leads, though. Let me get to this phone call. Caller, you're live, man. I'm sorry I hung up on you. My bad.
Hey, sorry.
All good. All good. What's going on, fellas? It's Nick from Jersey City. Long time no talk.
What's going on, Nick? How you feeling,
man?
Doing good. Just to second on what you just said about Alec Burks, he's fourth in the league in 3-point shooting right now. We probably could have used that to all those Knicks fans that wanted to run him out of town.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they probably could have used that. Not to mention, he can play a little bit of defense. He can, when Emmanuel quickly had to jump into that starting unit, he would have been able to hold down the bench. The Knicks could have used him, but I get it. Sometimes you gotta make moves to make your team better in another way. I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know when he's a free agent. I wouldn't be surprised though if the Knicks do not make a move at the trade deadline and pick up a wing. And if he's a free agent, I wouldn't be surprised to see him back in the Knicks uniform. Tom Thibodeau really did like Alec Burks.
Yeah, I completely agree. But, just in general, I think in terms of making moves, I mean, since they went to this 9-man rotation, it's been 21 games, which is a quarter of a season. They've been playing 59-win pace basketball.
Yep.
And they did that, their losses came without Brunson and RJ, So, I mean, I don't think we've seen this 9-man rotation really come to full form yet because we've only had Obi back a couple of games. RJ's only been back a few games. He hasn't really gotten into the swing of things yet. So I would be surprised if they made a move that upset the rotation. That's just my take on it. I think, right now you could look at the roster in terms of long-term construction. It's like we got 6 guys that are guys that we should probably want to keep, in terms of the starting 5 and Emmanuel Quickley.
Mm-hmm.
And, we need more out of Obi Toppin. I mean, he was the 8th overall pick. It's the second half of his 3rd year. And what we need is consistent production from him to be the 7th man off the bench. He needs to force his way onto the floor the way Grimes and Quickley have done. And if we could get that from him in the second half of this season, I think we take that next step. If it all comes together, if we're talking about Obi the way we're talking about Quickley and Grimes and RJ by the end of this season, then we're in really good shape. Not just, in terms of how we go into the playoffs, but in terms of maybe trading a piece in the offseason, probably Obi. But he'll probably have to raise his value up in the next half of this season. But, I mean, everything Randle's doing this year, everything Brunson's doing this year, it's been absolutely great. And I think that, everybody's going for – they're saying at least get the 6th seed. I'm looking at it like, yeah, of course the 6th seed, but I might even prefer to have the 6th seed than the 5th seed based on the matchups, So it's kind of like all house money for us this year.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. Do you think Obi, I know you're saying you want him to, but do you think that he can elevate his play?
Yeah, I'm not going to give up on him.
And command minutes on the floor.
I'm going to still believe in him, and I'm not going to give up on him. And I thought it was noteworthy that Tibbs put him in before Hartenstein in the first quarter yesterday so that they had a little bit of Randle-Obi action. I called in the summertime. I said, I think a move should be to play, if they can't go small, go big. But Randle's basically a point forward anyway. Put Randle at the 3 and Obi at the 4 or vice versa, whatever it may be, just to get them out on the court at the same time. Get Obi more minutes, just again, I'm not one of these guys that thinks that Obi is the key to everything, but we do need more from the bench. And he was the guy drafted 8th overall, and it's on him now. Like, this is his time. He's got to prove to the front office that he's worth keeping around. And that, because if I'm looking at trade bait, I mean, he's the guy. And I don't want to trade Quickley. I don't want to trade Grimes. I don't want to trade RJ. If I'm looking to go out and get another piece in the offseason, I'm looking at the roster saying I'm keeping the starting 5 and I'm keeping Quickley. And I'm not saying I wouldn't get rid of anybody, under any circumstances, but I'm looking at guys like Toppin and guys like, McBride as the young pieces that I'm willing to offer in a trade.
Yeah.
And of course Cam Reddish. And I want to keep McBride and I want to keep Toppin, but we're going to have to give up some of these young pieces going forward. And Quickley has proven to be, I mean, he has improved so much on defense.
Yeah.
And
I mean, you know,
there was a clip from him last night playing great. It's just, he's unbelievable.
Yeah, no doubt about it, man. Let me ask you this.
I was gonna say something. Can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say. So here's the thing with Quickley, right? And we got to be careful too, because you might have to trade Quickley, because if he keeps playing good like this, there's gonna be a team that's gonna pay him starter minutes. You know,
Exactly.
and
Yeah.
do the Knicks
We gotta
want
lock
to
him
match?
up now. That's what I'm saying.
But here's the thing. I mean, so the Knicks gonna do the Knicks control his rights so far, Sim?
The Knicks have Emmanuel Quickley under contract until 2024 to 2025. So
Okay, so that's a
so
little.
you got this season, you got next season, and then there's a qualifying offer. So it's a little bit of time.
Yeah, so I mean, if he continues, I'm not gonna lie to you, brother. If he continues on this trajectory, I guarantee you there's gonna be a team that's gonna be like, Quickly's a starter in the league, and he's most. So there's gonna be a decision coming up in a year and a half where you're gonna be like, do we trade Quickley?
Well,
And
I mean, I mean that's the way the NBA goes. You know what I mean? That's the way the
So, I
NBA
mean,
goes. You got to
yeah,
figure
so-
out what do you do with these guys. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
so you
'Cause
gotta
can't keep
oh, yeah.
all of them.
Yeah, you're not gonna be able to keep all of them. I think they're gonna keep Grimes, because I mean Grimes is turning into a young great 3-and-D player, and he's 22 himself, 23, whatever. So my thing with it is that you're gonna start looking at this, and you might have to make a splash, because you acquired all these picks, and you have some of these young players. You don't want to end up like how the Boston Celtics was, when they had young players, had picks, and they never made the big move. So you're gonna have to. There's gonna be opportunity where you're gonna have to make the splash, because right now, for me, I do agree with you. I think Obi needs to be playing better. It kind of sucked when he got injured, because I thought he was in a very good groove before he got injured. I thought he was coming out, getting 10 points, 12 points a game for a little while during that stretch. Then he got himself injured when he got injured, and then I know he's trying to get himself back. So, it would definitely help when Obi comes into the game and and scores more. But I think with that too, kind of goes into the play style with Obi, where I don't think, to me right now, we're using him to his best abilities. I would love to see a lot more pick and roll with Obi. I would love to see him just go down to the basket, going north and south. I know he's working on his weaknesses, being a better shooter, and he has been shooting on a good clip. But I know for these first couple of years, we've been working on his weaknesses, and he's gotten better at his weakness. But I would love to see the Knicks also use his strengths, where he is athletic. He should be moving. He is the fastest player on our team. He should be, I think he should be constantly moving, constantly attacking the rim, and using his athleticism. So, I think there's a lot of opportunity for Obi. He just has to get back in the form, has to get back in the game shape.
Yeah, we will.
Yeah, I agree.
Now, go ahead, Nick.
No, I just said I completely agree, and I think that's what the second half of this season is all going to be about. I mean, it's time's now for him, and I agree with what you guys said about Quickley too. That's why I'm of the opinion that the way forward with this roster is, you got all these picks, you have some young guys, you got to identify which young guys you want to keep, you got to identify which young guys you're willing to dangle out as trade bait. You package those young guys and the salary pieces like Fournier, et cetera, with some picks, and go out and get more talent.
Yeah.
And if that means that somebody like Quentin Grimes goes back to the bench and becomes the sixth man because you went out and got a starting, a quality star shooting guard like a DeJounte Murray type, so be it. He's got his time.
We lost Nick. Sorry about that, Nick. We lost you. On the screen, ladies and gentlemen. But I believe Nick is right. You got to make you're gonna have to give up something to get something. When it's time to move forward. But right now, the New York Knicks are playing very, very good basketball, ladies and gentlemen. In the last 20 games, the Knicks have the fifth best win percentage in the league. They're 14-6 with the fifth best winning percentage in the league, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Their offensive rating is 118.2. That's fifth in the NBA. And their defensive rating is 110.1. That's third in the NBA. My question to you, Isaiah,
Yes, sir.
are the Knicks, we know what they've been over the last 20 games, and 20 games is a quarter of the season, like Nick said.
Yeah.
Right? A quarter of the season. That's a very good sample size. Do you believe in these numbers? Of the Knicks being, do you believe this can last with the Knicks being a top 5 team in the league? That's my question.
I think top 10. I think we can be a top. I'm gonna say top 7. I think if the Knicks continue how they're doing, keep moving the ball, keep, playing teams hard and doing it their way. I think they really can. It's just, there's going to be some downfalls. There's going to be some times where, we're going to lose a couple games, but I do believe that we're going to be all right. Hey, I'm sorry, I got to go take this real quick, but I do believe we're going to be good. I know.
All
sir.
right, go ahead. Do your thing, man. Do your thing. I don't want you to lose your job and whatnot. I don't want you to lose it. Anyway, let me get to a caller real quick. All right. Caller, you're live. Tell me your name and where you're from, please.
Hey, good afternoon. This is Stan Cool from the Bronx.
What's going on with you, man? How you feeling?
Peace to the I'm great. And yourself?
I'm good,
peace
man.
To the show. I'm a long time viewer. This is like my 3rd time calling, so much peace and blessing.
I appreciate you, my brother. Appreciate you.
But my question is, how do you feel about Obi Toppin for Chris Duarte trade? Would you hop on that trade, or would you?
I like Chris
be
Duarte.
Reluctant to do that trade?
I mean, I like Chris Duarte.
Yeah, so do I. I think
Chris
he's
Duarte.
the two-way, a two-way wing that we can surely need on the bench with Quickley. So,
yeah. I like Chris Duarte.
I don't think Obi.
Go ahead.
I don't think Obi sticks around long because it seems like the Knicks have loyalty to Julius Randle. I think he's going to be around for a while now. So I think it's best to just cut ties with Obi at this point.
Right.
Just get another guy that can back up Randle and doesn't really need to be featured as much, like a Jay Crowder, who's a veteran. That's the move I would make, and I also would bring in Alex Caruso, to show up our bench. I think if we have a good bench, this team can go up to, who knows, maybe 4th seed.
Hey, I mean, if they got a strong bench, listen, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough, no matter what, to get up to that 4th seed. To give the Knicks the best chance, they need to shore up the bench, right? To give them the best chance, because right now the Knicks are 25-19, 6 games above 500. They're just 2 games behind Cleveland. Cleveland is 27-17. They're 10 games above 500. If the Knicks win, 2 more games, they're right there with Cleveland. You know what I mean? And if Cleveland, loses a couple, they slip. Same with Philly. The Knicks are 2.5 games behind Philadelphia. Philadelphia is 27-16, 11 games above 500. So it's not out of the question that the Knicks can reach these heights. You know what I mean? And they haven't beat Philadelphia yet this season. No, they beat them once, but Joel Embiid wasn't there. So they're 1-1 with Philly.
Right.
They've beat Cleveland. So they got to prove that they can beat Philly when Joel Embiid is there. You know what I mean? But they've proven that they can beat the Cleveland Cavaliers.
It's possible.
Right. So
listen, we should be 28-16 right now if we would have took care of Chicago, Dallas, and Milwaukee the way we should have.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. If they take care of those things.
We'd be a 4th seed right now if we would have took care of those games.
No doubt about it. 28-16.
I can name other games, but I'm not going to even do that.
Right, but those 3 right there that you pointed out.
Those 3 right there, they should have won that.
If they win those basketball games like they should have, the Knicks could very well be 28-16. So,
28-16.
They're doing their thing, man. Let me ask you. I asked Isaiah, looking at the Knicks' last 20 games, they're over the last 20 games, one of the 5 best teams in the league, 14-6, 5th best win percentage.
Right.
The offensive rating is 5th in the NBA at 118.2. Defensive rating is 3rd in the NBA at 110.1. Is this true? Is this the Knicks, or is this just this time span and you expect them
No,
to
I
come
think this
back
is
down
the
to
team
earth,
because
or
you,
is
you
this
can
the
see
Knicks?
like these guys are like really having a feel for each other, especially Brunson and Randle. I think this is the team now. Just because Tibbs is playing all the guys that he knows are gonna play hard.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we just need to add to that. Because and to be honest, I'm tired of seeing Isaiah Hartenstein. I need Sims to get those minutes because
Yeah.
Isaiah Hartenstein, he's kind of soft to me on defense. Like I'm not really feeling him right now.
I feel you. It's something. It's
Like,
something about those guys named Isaiah that don't work well with the Knicks, right?
Hey, first of all,
Isaiah
First of all.
Thomas, Isaiah Hartenstein, Isaiah Brunson.
Listen, if I work for the Knicks,
I'm not feeling Hartenstein, man. Send him back to the Clippers, man.
So let me tell you something. If I were for the Knicks, we would have won a championship.
Okay, all right. But hey, my man, I appreciate your call. Thank you for your time, man.
Appreciate you guys. Much love. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
Peace.
And you know what, son? Just to piggyback what he was saying, man. My big thing, man, with Isaiah Hartenstein, I do believe Sims should get the minutes. I'm actually shocked because I think I think Tony, all of us pretty much agreed that we thought Isaiah Hartenstein. There was one point I think some of us thought he was might have starting a lineup, starting five from Mitch. I thought, me personally, man, I thought he was gonna be fantastic. I thought he was gonna be, you know, you know what, Sim? I'm not even joking. I thought him and RJ were gonna have a great 2-man game.
Mm-hmm.
When RJ drive, then he can space it with Hartenstein, but it just hasn't been there, man. And it's kind of disappointing because I'm just like, I thought we got him on a great deal. But to me, when I've seen Sims on the floor, it's looked a lot better. I feel like Sims can cover defensive players better. I think he can cover smaller guys better than Hartenstein. And it's just like I like the other guy, like the dude said, when Hartenstein's on the floor, man, it just feels soft. It feels like, sometimes I feel like big leads happen when Isaiah Hartenstein's on the floor. I think we've seen enough. And I know it's probably not gonna happen now, but I can see going forward after the All-Star break, the Knicks coming together, and talking about what needs to change or what doesn't need to change.
Right.
And I do think Sims is going to get more playing time in the second half of the season. I can see that happening.
Okay.
I can't see it happening now because I don't think Sims doesn't want to ruin the flow of the team. So right now, because we are winning despite Hartenstein, but I can, like I said before, I can see after the All-Star break, Sims getting more minutes.
We'll see. And, Hartenstein could be mentioned in some of these, brought up in some of these trades too. We'll see, ladies and gentlemen. The Knicks take on the Toronto Raptors today, in just about an hour. We'll see if they build a lead, can they hold the lead? Because, ladies and gentlemen, man, the Knicks, over the last 20 games, they've literally held a lead in 16 of those games.
Whew.
16 of those games, the Knicks have held a lead. And they've had a hard time holding on to some of them. Not all of them. Right now, of course, we all look at it and we're like, oh, man, the Knicks can't hold a lead. But in most of them, they did. 16 double-digit leads in the last 20 games. And some big leads, 28-point lead versus Atlanta, a 26-point lead versus Charlotte, 30-point lead versus Chicago, a 38-point lead versus Golden State, a 32-point lead versus Phoenix, 25-point lead versus Indiana. They've had some big leads. But if you look at those boxes in the orange, against Chicago, 14-point lead, they won by 8. That's acceptable. San Antonio, a 13-point lead. They won by 3. Toronto, a 17-point lead. They won by 4. Indiana, 25-point lead. They won by 6. Washington, a 15-point lead. They won by 4. And then you got 3 games that they lost. A 14-point lead to Philadelphia. They lost by 7. 12-point lead to Dallas. They lost by 5 in that whole debacle. 17-point lead to Milwaukee. They lost by 4. When they lost to Chicago, when they did lose to Chicago, I think they had an 8 or 9 point lead. It wasn't a double digit lead, but they still had an 8 or 9 point lead in that game.
Hey, Sam, you know what you didn't mention?
What's
This,
that?
this is the part that frustrates me, Sam, the most.
What's
And I
that?
remember I called you during the Dallas game. Man, it's literally the last 2 to 3 minutes. 3 to 2 minutes is pissing me off the most.
Yeah.
Where it's like, fellas. I mean, listen, let me say this. The Dallas game, we all know. That happens once every few seasons in the NBA. When we say
Right.
few seasons, I think that happens every 10. Yeah, I think, when the last time was like a.
I don't know. I don't know.
I'm
It doesn't
scared to
happen
say,
that often, man.
Is
but
it T Mac?
I don't even want to talk about that.
Yeah, we're not
What
gonna talk about
happened
that
there?
one.
Because
But
painful.
yeah, that one's crazy. But
But look,
it's been a 2-3 minutes, man, Sim. It's just been like I just don't understand what's been going on.
I know.
They
But here's the
just-
thing. Here's the thing. When you look at these games that's on the board, there's 16 games up here. Right? 16 double-digit leads. They've only lost 3 of those games.
That's good.
They've only lost 3
That's
of
still
them.
bad, but
They've given up leads, but they've only lost 3 of those games. In this 16 games here, they're 13-3 in these 16 games that they've had double-digit
that's
leads.
impressive.
So, you know,
You know what, Sim? And you
maybe
gotta
it's
give
not
up
as
if-
maybe it's not as bad as it feels.
You know, I think that's what it is too, Sim. Because man, Sim, it be to the point, man, where now, Sim, it's like when I see the Knicks up 20, I'm like, here we go. Here we go.
Yeah.
Because I think also too, I think a big thing with that too is, Sim, is that naturally,
Mhm.
you do get lazy when you're up big points.
You do. Yeah.
You
No doubt about
it don't. I don't care if. Listen, besides Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant, if on your team,
Right.
you
do.
get lazy.
You do.
And
You do.
it's natural like that
And it's
because you're
something
like,
you got to fight against. You got to fight
Yes.
against it.
because Sim, you know what it is too, because you're like, oh, they just shot a 3. Okay, we still up by 17.
Right.
They shot a 2, we up by 15.
Right.
Oh, they shot another 2, we up by 13. Oh, they hit a free throw. Oh, they stopped the clock. Oof. Now it's down 11.
Right.
They get a stop. Okay, we got a 9-point lead, but it's but that happens
And then you start panicking and you try to step up, and it becomes difficult to step up because
yeah, and
you know now the other team is hot, so on and so forth. But
yeah,
but look,
Sim, that's-
but still, and during this
we
time,
won him.
they won most of these basketball games. They've won most of them, you know, and it is happening around the league.
Yes. It's just not the Knicks, everybody. I know we're Knicks.
It is happening around the league. The thing that I'll say though that is impressive, and I know they've lost leads, but what is impressive is that they've been able to amass so many leads, big leads. That I think is pretty impressive. That they've been able to get double-digit leads in all of these games, and then in some of the other games that are not up here. There's 4 games not up here in these last 20 games. They still had 8, 9-point leads in those games. You know what I mean? So that is impressive. And when they get to the point where they can stop the bleeding, when every team is going to fight back. When they get to the point where they can stop the bleeding and keep those and really keep all of those leads. Yeah, you know,
to be honest too, we gotta also too, and I understand that most NBA games you don't lead wire to wire.
right,
That doesn't happen. That happens. What you get a handful of games.
right.
You get a handful of games. You're like, okay, this is a wire victory, you know. But most times it's a fight, man.
Yeah, no
it's a
about it.
fight, and these guys don't want to lose, man. And so, like you said, it's just to me about stopping the bleeding. It's like football. Something. It's like a bend but don't break. You know, a quarterback can have 300 yards. Did he score any touchdowns?
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's just really about that, man. So look, it's going to be a dogfight tonight. I don't remember the last time we ever faced the Raptors when it wasn't a hard fight, Sim.
Right.
So it's one of those teams that we just fight. So
yeah, and the Knicks know that. And big shout out to my man JJ. Thank you for joining in. You know what I mean? He said Fred VanVleet is playing.
Oh my God.
He is playing, and if you look at the top of the screen, you can see the scroll that says Fred VanVleet. We updated it. He's now updated to probable, so it's likely that he's playing.
Tim, he loves to kill the Knicks, man. He just lives for the moments to kill the Knicks, man.
Yeah. So Fred VanVleet is playing tonight. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. But the Knicks got to, they got to beat them. The Toronto Raptors are 19-24. It's not that they're a bad team. They're just not hitting on all cylinders right now. They're 19-24, 11th game. They're 11th in the Eastern Conference. 12.5 games. They're half a game behind the Chicago Bulls for that 10th seed. All right, they're like 5.5 games behind the Knicks. So the Knicks got to take care of business today, in about 40 minutes or so. They got to take care of business versus the Toronto Raptors. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to let you go. All right, I appreciate your time. For the post-game show, because I'm actually not going to be able to see the game until a little bit later. I'll see some of it. I got practice at 4 o'clock, so it's right in the middle of the game. So I'll probably jump on later on tonight. It won't be a regular post-game show, but I'll jump on later on tonight and maybe do something that has to do with wrapping up the game as well as talking about the trade deadline, something like that, later on tonight. So I won't see you directly after the show. We do have some people. Isaiah, I wasn't able to get you those tickets. We had some people that jumped in there, but you're at work anyway, so you wouldn't have been able to go.
Well, listen, brother. Oh, I'm not gonna say that one. I'm not gonna get myself fired.
You wouldn't have been able to go. You're at work anyway, but yeah, don't get yourself fired. But we got people at the game. Tony Steph is at the game. Eru, his kids are there at the game. There's some other people there with him, so we got a little group there at the game. I do want to remind you guys, though, and we should have details out this week. February 24th, we're doing it again in D.C., so please join us, ladies and gentlemen. Those details are going to come out this week. We're trying to make D.C. a Knicks town. It already is, kind of. But NBK is going to take it over there. We're looking to take over Philly and Charlotte and Atlanta and all of that. D.C. is the first stop. So if you can join us on February 24th, we would love to have you there. We got a dope spot for us to do a pregame and postgame show. A real dope spot. So make sure you look for that and be ready to join. And also, my studio is just about there. You seen me broadcast from there yesterday. And for those Knicks fans who were in the DMV, I'm setting up a little thing where, you can come to the studio and we can talk Knicks right there from the studio. You know what I mean? You can come to the studio, we can talk some Knicks, and boom. So be on the lookout for that. For those fans who are in the DMV. And then those who are in New York, you want to come down and talk in the studio, we can do that too. Or anywhere, Delaware, Philadelphia, North Carolina, anywhere. You know what I'm saying? If you can make it here, we got you. We have a sign-up list.
Just don't take my bed, y'all. I sleep over there sometimes.
But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to get up out of here. I appreciate you guys. You know what I mean? And I will see you later on tonight. Isaiah, anything you want to say before we get out of here?
Yes, Sim, great show today, man. It's always great to be with you, big brother. I got the Knicks it's gonna be a tough game tonight, but I think we're gonna win it. I got us going, say 117, 112 Knicks.
Okay. All right.
Shout out to Daniel Jones and those Giants, though.
No doubt about it, man. Big win yesterday.
Coach of the year. I don't care what nobody says. Pay that man Daniel Jones. Listen, man, and let's go eagle hunting, man. Let's go eagle hunting, baby.
Yeah, man, no doubt. Big win yesterday. That was lovely. I was hyped. That was lovely.
Listen, when the Knicks win and the Giants win, it's a good Sunday, man. It's a good Sunday.
No doubt. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm up out of here. I appreciate your time. Enjoy your MLK Day. Let's get this win, and I'll see you later on tonight. Peace.
This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When Sim passed the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock, who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Knick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place you tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.